I also got a PS1, which you'll see in the PS1 video I did as a tag response to SNES-tastic. Great games. You've got the Crash series on there. You've got the Pandemonium games, Rogue Trip. There's loads of games on there. Now the next system that I got was a Game Boy Color. Now this was my first ever handheld. It was a great little system. I never actually owned an original Game Boy just because I just never sort of picked one up. And there's actually a really funny story behind how I got my Game Boy Color. Basically, not the uncle that bought me quite a few consoles, but this was a different uncle. He was on a bus once, just sort of randomly going somewhere, and he was minding his own business, as you do. And he just so happened to look down the side of the seat, and there was a Game Boy Color sitting there. I mean, what are the chances of that? I mean, I couldn't believe that. And he was just like, oh, what's this? And he realised what it was, and he obviously sort of kept hold of it. And then when he saw me next, he sort of said, like, I found this Game Boy Color, do you want it? I don't want it. And I was just like, whoa, because at the time I'd seen them around, and I was like, they look quite impressive, but didn't sort of want to spend any money on it. It wasn't sort of enough for me to go and get one. It was kind of, you know, if you get given one, then fair enough. Otherwise, you're not going to sort of go out and buy one. And I was like, whoa, yeah, thanks. And when he told me what had happened, I couldn't believe it. It was just absolutely awesome. I mean, what are the chances of sitting there and just sort of looking down and seeing a Game Boy Color? So yeah, so not only did I get my Game Boy Color for free, but I then sort of went into the electrical store Curry's, I think it was a few weeks after, something like that, and there was a huge sale on for Game Boy Color games, and I was just like on cloud nine. Seriously, I was like sort of going around the aisles like going, oh, this looks good, and they were really cheap. So not only did I get a handheld system for free, I'd also found a load of games for it cheap in a sale. So that was probably one of the best moments of my gaming career, as it were, sort of so far. So that was brilliant, and some of the games that really come to mind on the Game Boy Color, which I really enjoyed playing, were games like Pocket Bomberman, which is actually a really nice game for the Game Boy Color. It's quite nicely done. It's quite nice that you can kind of control the Bomberman dude kind of, rather than having it as the classic mode, you know, going around the board, blowing each other up, you sort of have more freedom when you sort of go around sort of exploring levels. So I quite like that idea. And also some of the really best games on the Game Boy Color, I think, were the Harry Potter games, believe it or not. Because I've got Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets on the Game Boy Color. I know they've been re-released on the Game Boy Advance and the PS2 and all that, but the Game Boy Color versions just really sort of stuck out for me. They're really nice versions of the games, and I just really enjoyed playing them. I'm not actually one for RPGs as such, but them games really were nicely done, and sort of I liked the sort of gameplay, and I don't know, I just really got into them. I just really enjoyed them, so I'd definitely say them as well. And also Croc 2. You remember the little sort of green dinosaur, or sort of crocodile dinosaur? Where did dinosaur come from? Crocodile, sorry. Oh dear. You know, the clue is in the name, Dan. So yeah, Croc 2 was a really good game that I've got on the Game Boy Color, which I really enjoyed playing. And I could go on and on, but again, I'm going to move on just so I can get through them all. So that's Game Boy Color. And then I think after that, I got a Sega Dreamcast. Now, I know I said that I was completely stunned by how good the Super Nintendo was. Well, I didn't therefore think that, you know, it could be bettered at that point. I didn't think that I could be shocked even more than that. And how wrong was I? I went round my grandparents one time, and this same uncle that sort of got the Super Nintendo then got a Sega Dreamcast. And looking back now, I'm so grateful. Like, he just sort of bought these consoles to play around my grandparents, and then just let me have them, and I never had to pay for them or anything. And looking back now, I am actually really grateful to him that he bought all these consoles, because I would never have got them otherwise. I wouldn't be able to have afforded them. So yeah, I'm actually really lucky. But anyway, yeah, and he didn't tell me or warn me. I sort of went upstairs and I heard this game on, and I was like, what game is he playing? I went into the room, and there he was playing the Sega Dreamcast, and he was playing Sonic Adventure. And I was just completely blown away, because it was the first time I'd seen sort of a 3D Sonic game. I'd been so used to playing all the 2D ones on the Mega Drive and the Master System and stuff, and I hadn't seen sort of a 3D Sonic game up close like that. So I just sort of walked into the room, and I was just like, I just sort of froze, and he sort of turned around and was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I got a Sega Dreamcast. This one's Sonic Adventure. You might want to have a go." And I was like, "Do I want to have a go? Give me that controller!" I was like, "Ah!" So yeah, and that's one of my favourite consoles as well. I remember that split second that I walked into that room and saw that, and I was just completely shocked. I was completely blown away. It was out of this world. I couldn't wait to get on the system and play it. So yeah, and I could go on and on again from the Dreamcast, but just some that come to mind which I absolutely love. Obviously Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Sonic Shuffle, even though a lot of people sort of criticise it because it's sort of they see it as sort of a rip-off of Mario Party. I think, in my opinion, that it is a good game. Yeah, I understand how people can say, "Oh no, Sonic shouldn't have done a version of it. It doesn't work." But I quite liked it. I quite like the idea of, because I mean, you're not using dice, you're using cards, so it's quite a nice idea. But yeah, each person to their own, really. And then there's obviously, who could forget the amazing Shenmue games. They do need to do a 3, but it's not looking like they're going to do one. Which is really annoying, but I absolutely adore them games. Played them. I think I managed to complete the second one. I'm not sure about the first. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been on them, but yeah, absolutely amazing anyway. And they do need to do a 3 because the ending in the second one's not completely definitive. But there we go. We'll never know now. Especially since Sega have come off doing consoles now and they're just concentrating on software. We'll never know. But yeah. There's always hope. And of course, there's also Confidential Mission, House of the Dead 2. Could forget that. Playing that on the Dreamcast with the Dreamcast gun. Great memories. Looney Tunes Space Race is a great game as well. And Choo Choo Rocket, classic game, really good. I've got a gameplay video up of that as well. I know I did really well, and I was quite happy because I got that all recorded on camera. One of my best ever completions of the levels on that game when it was on camera, so that's all good. And yeah, that is just like one of my favourite consoles. It broke down at one point, and I was really gutted, but then I managed to find another one cheap, so I picked it up, and yeah, I was really happy that I managed to get hold of it again, and so I could play all my games again. But that's the Dreamcast, Sega's last console, unfortunately, but still, although it's gone, it's never going to be forgotten. It's a great console. It was the first console that enabled you to go online, so it'll always be remembered for that aspect, if nothing else. But absolutely fantastic anyway. So that was the Dreamcast. And then I think after the Dreamcast, I got given a Nintendo 64. Now, this was such a revolutionary console, taking the Nintendo games to higher levels. Making Mario 3D in Super Mario 64 was just absolutely amazing. Then releasing Mario Kart 64 was just absolutely phenomenal. So good. I absolutely loved that version of the Mario Kart. And other games as well, like Banjo-Kazooie, brilliant game. Diddy Kong Racing, again, really good. Nice to have a racing game with the characters from the Donkey Kong franchise. And Bomberman 64, another good game. Pokemon Stadium, it's alright. It can be quite a laugh because you can just although it's Pokemon, you can, not that I'm dissing Pokemon of course, but you can, especially multiplayer, it's actually lots of fun really. Then you've got Super Smash Bros, the original. There's absolutely loads. There's just so many. And of course the Zelda games, you can forget them, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Absolutely brilliant games. Nintendo 64 really does stand out. It really did revolutionise the Nintendo games and was very impressive. So that's another console that really does stick out for me, and I'm so glad I've got it, and I'm never getting rid of it. All my consoles. Do you know what? A few people have said to me, they've not actually said, do you think you should be getting rid of some of them, but some people have said to me, you've got a lot of consoles, do you still play them? Because don't you think you should be like maybe moving on? And these are from people that aren't really retro gamers, so unfortunately you have to expect that people that aren't sort of on our wavelength as us retro gamers. they're going to say things like that and be a bit negative. But I'm just sort of learning to brush it all aside and just ignore it and just say, no, they're my consoles. I'm going to keep them. There's nothing you can do about it, you know. So, and especially when I get my own place, because at the moment I'm living at home still. When I get my own place, I'm going to make sure they're displayed even more. Because I know I'm digressing and I'm coming off point here, but I just want to mention a lot of my games are in this cupboard here, and they're all stacked on top of each other and they're all crammed in, because basically I haven't got the room in this room to display them all. Like, I don't know if you can really see. I pan the camera around, but it's built into my webcam. I pan the camera around, but it's built into my Mac, so I can't really show you very well. But this room is very small, so they've all been shoved in this cupboard. And basically, when I get my own place, which won't be that far away now, I'm literally going to buy some new shelves, and I'm just going to display all of them everywhere. And then what I will do is, I don't know how far away this will be, but in the future sometime I will do a proper games room tour. You'll notice that I haven't done one ever because I haven't been able to, and there's no room to display everything. So what I will do is, at a later date, when I do get my own place, I will definitely do a games room tour, and I'll make it look really nice. I'm going to make sure I get a place where I can have a room designated as a games room for me, and yeah, I'll show you guys my games room when I get it up and running.